Welcome back to another episode of Go, Go, Grow. If you are looking to grow your company, to scale up your startup, or to simply expand your entrepreneurial knowledge, you are in the right place. Today, I am joined by my expert guest, Carol Fraser. She is the CEO of C4 Talent and also the creator of Dancing Leaders. I know that sounds intriguing, so we're going to talk about that. Welcome, Carol.
Thank you so much for having me, Michelle. It's great to see you again, and it's great to be here with your guests, with your audience, because I'm dying to talk to them about how I can support them in their company's growth on so many different levels.
Absolutely. And Carol, you and I have known each other for coming up on, 2 years.
Yeah.
And every time I talk to you, I just am filled with energy and enthusiasm because you just have that effect on pretty much everybody you talk to. So, but your background is HR.
Yes.
You're a fractional CHRO. You help companies from A to Z, as far as guidance, but your real niche is that CHRO role. Now, you've guested on my office hours, and we've kind of dug into that information. So I don't want to dig into that again. I'll include those recordings as a resource on this particular podcast. What I really want to dig into is this awesome new program, Dancing Leaders. So what is Dancing Leaders, and why dancing?
It's, dancing scientifically from a neurologist standpoint builds the brain and builds synapses in the brain that actually improve an organization's ability to be a cohesive team. So Dancing Leaders is something that I ideated pre-COVID. We always have to have the pre-COVID life and the post-COVID life.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID, and I was ready to launch, and all of a sudden COVID hit. I'd actually had 2 clients set up, and then the place that we were obviously going to hold it ended up saying, oh, we have to postpone. The idea behind it is I've been dancing my whole life, and I have been doing swing dancing for 25 years or so.
Uh-huh.
And what I have found is those who have the ability to think literally on their feet and the ability to ideate and innovate in the second, not even in the moment, but in the second that they're listening to the song and they're having a partner on the other side of them, their ability to work through change and growth and innovation and resiliency is exponentially higher than those people who don't partake in something that requires the instantaneous 2 bodies together that you need to have nonverbal communication. So it's a transformative, experiential leadership enhancement and team cohesion program. It allows leaders to really learn more about their teams, themselves, how they handle that kind of stressful situation of not knowing what to do in the moment. And that, of course, leans right into emotional awareness, because a lot of those things are going to be around, did that trigger you because you made a mistake? Or you didn't know how your partner was going to react. So where's your social awareness? And are you going to just, laugh it off as part of your self-management? Like, made a mistake, time to keep moving on. The music's still playing. That's something I always keep telling people when they're in the programs. The music hasn't stopped. You have to keep moving.
Just like life, just like business. It hasn't stopped. Keep going. Keep swimming. Keep dancing.
Keep dancing.
So let me share with our audience how you describe Dancing Leaders on the website. And if you're following along on your computer and you want to kind of do a side-by-side, it's dancingleaders.com. You describe it as a transformative, immersive leadership development and team building program that revolutionizes traditional training approaches.
Mm-hmm.
Utilizing the kinesthetic connection between the brain and the body, integrated by swing dancing, the program uses movement to dramatically enhance learning and retention. So if you look at that, it sounds like a big old mouthful.
Yeah.
But basically, to kind of break it down into Michelle speak, it means muscle memory. If you're doing it, you remember it.
Yes. Everything we do in business, we make decisions from our guts, from what we're feeling. We can have a lot of data thrown at us, and that data, excuse me, could maybe sway a direction, but ultimately your body makes the decision. Your brain supports it by giving it information, but your body is the one that makes the decision. And if we could create programs that make people lean into how their body is reacting to stimuli, specifically in the workplace, human stimuli, the new technology stimuli, client stimuli, financial stimuli, all of that stuff, we know if we're looking at a P&L and it's not the numbers that we want, we feel it in our bodies. We know that if a client isn't happy with what we're offering them, we feel it in our bodies. And we hold on to that feeling long after the brain has forgotten it.
So think about fear or flight.
Mm-hmm. Fight, flight, freeze.
Yes. So the freeze or the fear, you're not doing anything. Okay. Bad things happen when you don't do anything. The fight or the flight means you're taking action. And that means there's movement. It's dynamic. And just my interpretation of it is that's what the swing dancing, the movement, the cohesiveness of the team movement in sync.
Mm-hmm.
That helps train your body, your mind, your emotions.
Yes.
To get that rhythm going. Is that a good interpretation?
It is a great interpretation. And I think it's easy for people to kind of look at this as, but I'm not a dancer, so what do you mean it's going to impact me? We have certain ways we have learning methodologies, right? A lot of people are auditory learners. Some are visual learners. When it comes to the workplace, very, very, very rarely do you do anything with your body. Too often, and many articles have been written recently, that leadership development and training in general is broken. It just doesn't have the same impact because we're utilizing the way of leadership development and training from 30 years ago, 20, 30 years ago. And we are a much more body conscious, emotional conscious, how our brain impacts, others. We're much closer to that now. COVID did a number on us. We were all able to sit alone by ourselves and think about us and our world around us. And that fundamentally has changed. So even the success I knew I was going to have pre-COVID, post-COVID makes so much more sense even. It really does force an individual to go into a place where they may or may not have any exposure, right? People who do sports, if they do team sports, and not too many people, once you get into a career, you're not doing a whole lot of team sports anymore. You might have a few people who are on the, group basketball team, or you might have somebody who's, doing a soccer match with a bunch of people from yeah, exactly, pick a ball. But those are still very much individual contributor components.
Right.
Partner dancing requires you to connect with someone. And when you're in a classroom setting what you're doing is you're moving from partner to partner to partner. So you're rotating. And each time you connect with a new person, it's a whole new set of variables.
Right.
It's synergistically the same as getting more clients, hiring more employees, all of that type of new interaction and the variables that go along with it. We've incubated it into a full day program so that you can roll through your emotional waves, right? You get these moments in a workshop to ask a lot of questions like, why did that feel so weird to me? I have neurologists as part of my team who are there to support and go, well, let's talk about the reason why your body's feeling that way. I myself talk about it from an emotional intelligence standpoint. Yeah. I draw direct parallels to, I've been running my business for nearly 25 years and what that means for me as an entrepreneur, or what that means for me working with my clients. I just found there are so many connections to how we as working individuals, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a business owner, whether you're an employee, whether you're a VP at a large firm.
Whether you're a human out in the world.
Exactly. I mean, look, I try to stay focused on how this impacts an organization, but can I tell you, the ability to interact and recognize much more of your surroundings by learning how to raise your awareness in this program. Yeah, like how you talk with your wife and kids, how you deal with your neighbors.
If you're in business, chances are good if you're in business more than a week, you have customers. Yes. So, it applies to that as well. But Carol, you mentioned a couple of times emotional intelligence. So I want to step back to that for a minute, because many people either maybe aren't familiar with that or don't have a real clear understanding. And oftentimes we'll use interchangeably emotional quotient, EQ, or emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
So essentially it boils down to the ability to understand, use, and manage your emotions, which is, of course, internal to you, in a healthy way. Particularly as it relates to interacting with others. So when your program is Dancing Leaders, and the focus on leadership is you have a team that you're trying to lead, and if you as the leader don't have that level of emotional intelligence,
correct,
you can't lead well, and you can't necessarily expect your team to lead well. So talk to me a little bit about how you have found this to be impactful for some of those organizations that have gone through this, and how it's received by those organizations that you've talked to that maybe haven't gone through it yet.
So emotional intelligence, and I could talk about this till I'm blue in the face, and I will definitely draw parallels to the program, but it's something that is available to everybody and different from your personality, which you kind of develop in your early 20s, and different from your IQ, which, let's just be clear, it's not how smart you are, it's your propensity to learn. Some people the reason why the high EQ people have a high EQ is because they're very quick to learn. Now, the actual application of what they've learned and how they apply it, that's your EQ. And EQ is something that is pliable and malleable and can grow as you grow. So let's say when you were an individual contributor as an employee, you learned how to interact with your supervisor or your coworkers to get to the end, but you're still only responsible for yourself, right? And I think everybody needs to take ownership of their own emotions and understand what are those things that maybe pull up some bad ideas or bad thoughts, plus what are the things that pull up some good thoughts. How do you manage yourself in situations? It doesn't even have to be a stressful situation. It could be a happy situation. So how do you handle yourself in the situations? Can you recognize how your emotions are impacting others? And or can you read the room and know then how to adjust your behavior to make sure that the relationship, no matter what it is, could be dealing with your cashier at the grocery store
Mhm.
or dealing with the board of directors, that the relationship is a healthy one. But the moment you become a leader, you're now accountable not only to yourself, but you're there as a role model to the rest of your team. And if you haven't taken the time to dig deep and ask yourself some questions like, why did that call just bother me? Like
Mhm.
self reflection. Or why did I have a bad conversation? Or why did I blow up? And I don't even know that why I blew up. So how could I have controlled that a little bit more? All of that is emotional intelligence. People can call it leadership skills, but if you want to find the thread through all of that, it's the EQ. Emotional intelligence and EQ are synonymous. And so one is not the other. It is not different from the other. So you can definitely put them together, whichever one makes it easier to say. EQ. Let's just face it, acronyms are easier to say. But when you're a leader, when you're a business owner, when you're dealing with people and you're trying to make the most of the relationship, that EQ is what's going to help continue to maintain or create and maintain a healthy relationship. And as it pertains to dancing leaders, the other thing that I'm very big on is everybody's a leader. So you are a leader in your life, period, end of story. You could be a leader within your family, within your friend group. You could be a leader in an organization. You could be a leader in your social circles. Everywhere you're a leader, this program helps you better understand the impact you have on others and creates a greater awareness to yourself of yourself so that you can grow exponentially from that point.
So even a community member, like you mentioned,
Yeah.
if you are part of a business community, a civic organization, or anything of that nature, just leveling up your ability to be a productive contributing member,
Yeah.
to, of course, give whatever it is that you can to support others and be a healthy and open receiver of whatever it is that they have to offer, rather than the other way around. The way a lot of people approach networking is, here's my card, this is who I am and what I do. Okay, well, that has no emotional intelligence whatsoever. So, like you said, you don't have to be the leader of a 250 person organization. You can just want to be a better human that wants to better communicate with other humans.
Absolutely. And once you start to raise your own emotional intelligence, it's crazy how much quicker you get to outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
You're not spinning and pontificating over the why is it's happening. The each time something happens, it's the resiliency. EQ and resiliency go hand in hand. How quickly can you recover? If you are leaning into EQ and you're starting to better understand yourself, both what causes you to potentially have a heightened emotion and then how do you manage that?
Mm-hmm.
How is that impacting others? You will just be shocked at how quickly your resiliency increases. And I always like to say, and then you become like water off a duck's back. It just rolls right off, right? And what
Right.
that opens you up for is innovations, exploration,
Mm-hmm.
curiosity, because you're no longer stuck on these low level thoughts of fear and anger and resentment and frustration, because you are raising your EQ. You're becoming more aware of what it is that causes that in you. You are working towards understanding it, and then you can kind of move past it and open yourself up to the greater opportunities.
So what types of, if you're looking at this from an organizational perspective,
Yeah.
and you are an entrepreneur, a business owner, business leader, and you think this would be ideal for my organization. What types of organizations, whether it's a size organization or a structure of an organization, who would really benefit best from this? I know everybody can benefit, but who is like the ideal, wow, this would be so easy to implement and yield fantastic results?
It's a really great question, and you're not wrong in saying that everybody can benefit from it. I would say at this moment, I kind of think about what's happening in our business worlds today.
Mm-hmm.
Those who are expanding quickly, this is a great program to create the cohesion. It's a shorter trip to cohesion because you're stuck together for a day where you're at a level playing field. You're all learning something about yourselves and each other. We have a creative component towards the end of the day that causes people to work together and create something totally, probably out of the box for most people. So companies that are growing, right? It could be you went from 5 to 10 people. Get the 10 people together because every time you hire somebody new, the entire culture of your company changes. Just got to know that, guys.
Absolutely.
I mean, even if you have a super strong culture, the culture within your sphere of your team, your department, it changes. And then, yes, you may get them to assimilate to the culture, but they are their own humans. So why not create some sort of shared experience? Turnaround companies. So people who are having leadership change, right? People who are maybe not really sure if they're meshing with their new leader, right? So you could do this on a team basis. So let's say you have a brand new CTO, CMO, whatever, and you want the whole team to do something that they can all learn about each other. And in such a way that don't forget to talk about the chemicals that go on in your brain when you're dancing. Imagine being able to create a cohesion while your brain is experiencing the happy chemicals. That cohesion happens faster. That's why I said exponentially. That cohesion happens faster because you've been put your body into a place where all of the serotonin and all the happy things are happening, and you are open to and receptive to learning more. So people who have a leadership change, people who have just gone through an M&A, and you need to have a nice team cohesion, right?
Definitely.
And then one of the last ones that I'll just talk about is because this breaks habits, breaks the mold, if you will. If you're an organization who's needing to pivot for your strategy, for your products, you need to be innovating new things, and you're going to do like a company offsite that you're going to do a bunch of workshops and you're going to do breakouts and everybody's going to take a piece. This program is a great opener because, again, you've created something. You've put the brain in the right way. You've created the environment for growth and for the growth mindset, because it doesn't matter if you made mistakes, right? And imagine now how those individual breakouts or workshops are going to go. It's a great kickoff for larger companies who are looking to be like, we have got to come up with something new. AI is killing us. We don't know what we're going to do. We are not an innovative team, or we're going to hire a consultant to help us facilitate this. You yourselves are still the ones who have to come up with the ideas. What are you going to do to shift people's brains to be more innovative? And this program does that.
So let's say you have a remote workforce, or let's say you have multiple locations across the U.S., but you have an upcoming sales kickoff, or you have an upcoming annual meeting. Yep. So many of these people, maybe they talk to them on the phone, maybe they've never met each other virtually or otherwise, but they're going to be in one place at one time. Mm-hmm. Perfect way to start the conference.
This is actually the last client that I did this with just before the summer. was a firm that had Puerto Rico, Brazil, Virginia, New York. And they had, so globally, this is a dance that is done in, I'd say, probably 90% of the countries worldwide. So this is something that transcends borders. So they had all come together. They did not know each other very well, other than, you know, what they had been able to see on a Zoom call or, you know, in some sort of online meeting. And I had to actually, my program started after they had a very contentious conversation about return to office. So let's just say everybody was pissed. Everybody was anxious. There were lots of angry people. We then come into the room, make everybody start from square one. By the time we were done, everybody was laughing. Everybody was loving each other. Everybody was like, I want to try this with you. The CEO says to me, I did ask him, I said, you know, what did you like most about this? And his quote is, he allowed me to put it on the website. He said, I love the fact that I was just able to follow. Like, I didn't have to come up with anything. I just got to follow.
That's a great perspective.
You know, and then he says to me, I wish there was a way I could do that in my day job. Of course, now we could go into a whole nother podcast about how I can coach you through that. But yes. And we actually, when we did have a chance to talk after the workshop, before the dinner, I said, you know, I came in after the return to the office, and his big thing was, well, you know, I just don't think that, you know, we're as collaborative, right? That we're able to do things. And we had a wonderful conversation about how to organize work so that when, because it wasn't full-time back to the office, but when they're in the office, how do we create an environment that we created right now where everybody's working together in person and there's not half of the team sitting in their office on a Zoom call, because they can do that from home.
Right.
So yeah, it is really great if you are getting people together for your Christmas party. Y'all got Christmas parties coming up? This is a good one. The whole program itself allows level playing fields over and over and over again. Yeah. So it's like somebody tries something, they go through their emotional roller coasters, they now feel like, woohoo, I got it. We sit down in a workshop, we go through what all that means. It's a dialogue workshop. So it's not me asking questions with people. It is a one person talks and the next person talks and I'm asking questions all the way around, right? It is an opportunity so that you don't get those people who are super chatty and then those people who are super quiet. Then we go back into the dance spot and we make you switch roles. So if you were a leader in the last workshop, now you're going to be a follow. So now you're leveled again. You are leveled again. You are no longer walking and going, oh, I can't wait to do this with the next person. No, we're going to make you do it the other way now. And that, you know, for those people who are leading and actually deciding what happens, even if you're not a leader in the office, you do have that sense of, you know, empowerment. You're like, woohoo, I get to push this person over here and push this person over there. And so then when it gets flipped around, that is a dynamic we see in the workplace all the time.
Absolutely.
When all of a sudden somebody has to follow another group's directives, or your coworker got promoted and you didn't. You know, there's so many parallels that I bring forth during this program that now all of a sudden you're in the follower seat. And now you have to feel everything that that person felt last time. And so now this is where social awareness, team building, empathy, growth mindset just gets, it's like it all comes together.
Yeah.
Then when we go into the workshop again and talk about what just happened, that's when we talk about teamwork. That's when we talk about team cohesion. That's when we talk about what felt good and why, and find the parallel in your office that can happen, right? So we're making them leave with a completely different mindset.
So this sounds like something that so many people out there, maybe they don't have a lot of people or even 3, 4, 5 people on their official work team, but they would like to take part in it to make them as an individual more aware, more emotionally in touch with their decision making. So do you have a program, or have you thought about having a program where an individual, or, a one or two person partnership, well, not a one person partnership, but is there some sort of remote application, or does it all have to be in person?
It's an in-person moment.
Okay.
You need to be able to interact with another human
That
to
makes
really dig
complete
deeper.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I've had some people, and my question back to them is, okay, how do you propose to create greater bodily awareness
Got it.
about how you're feeling in the moment if you're still standing alone? So what I am doing in the spring, I will be creating a destination workshop. So if your partner, you and another executive of a large team, you and all of your leaders, but not your team members, want to come and experience this and give it a shot, give it a try. And then you can talk about bringing it back to your organization. That is coming in the spring of 2025.
Oh, that's
So
exciting.
and of course, it'll be in New York. Spring in New York is fantastic. We have some of the best bands here. So part of the program, as being a whole day, it's an all inclusive lunch, dinner, chakis, the whole bit. Performers. It is really a moment to be able to go. Psh, and it's not expensive, considering that most organizations earmark anywhere between 1,000 to maybe even up to 5,000, depending on the type of company, per person for these types of things. And that's just for their like an individual learning and development. Then they have a whole other budget that they usually have for doing things like an annual get together or the company picnic or whatever it is, right? This is just such a great way to show that you value your employees by giving them
Yes.
something that isn't pizza and beer, right? It is something where they can go, cool, I get to get dressed up and I get to do something. And,
Well, this is that cross between personal development, professional development, learning, and team building.
Yes.
Hey, it's a double BOGO.
Yes. It is quite fun. So so it is we look, I would say look at that towards we call it Marchish.
Okay.
To be launched, and then it'll probably take place around Mayish, April, Mayish. And we're trying to find the coolest venue possible. So, because if you're going to come to New York, you don't want to stay in an airport hotel, right? You want to be able to do it someplace.
Absolutely.
You don't come to New York to hang out in Newark.
So, Carol, this has been so enlightening, and I'm certain that unless somebody follows you on LinkedIn, which they need to, by the way, you need to, they probably never envisioned the link between swing dancing, leadership development, team building, and emotional intelligence. They probably never dreamed that unless they saw you on LinkedIn or they know you personally. But I'll tell you guys, this you've heard it here. This is so exciting. Check out dancingleaders.com. Check out Carol Fraser and C4 Talent on LinkedIn. And Carol, is there anything that we've not covered that you want to make sure that we include in this?
I'd say growth is inevitable. It can be growth that tears you down or growth that builds you up. And when I talk about growth that's tearing people down, it's because they're reliving their mistakes and they think they're growing, but they've lost that awareness component. And I have worked with executives, high-level executives, on a one-on-one basis with swing dancing, teaching them swing dancing. This is their hobby. This is what they want to do. When we talk about what they learn in their private lessons and how they're able to apply it to being more effective in their businesses, they themselves didn't understand why or how they had shifted. And when I explained to them, I can give you some ideas of why that happened or how that happened. And it is so closely aligned to what they're learning about themselves and about how they feel while they're actually learning swing dancing. You put yourself in a vulnerable place when you go to learn new things. Learning new things is the good growth. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, I read this business book or I watched this, seminar. Doing something that's putting you outside of your comfort zone, leaning into something that you are curious about and really dedicating some time to see what that means. And then taking stock of what it was like before you started that and what was it like once you ended that or once you did it after a while. You will find that you have grown in a positive way because you learn more about yourself and the way that you interact with other people.
So if you think about, you had mentioned reading a book or going to a seminar, watching a podcast.
I love podcasts.
So if you think about those people that say, oh, I'm an auditory learner or I'm a visual learner. Okay, when you hear something, your brain filters out what it recognizes, what it's comfortable with, what it can, and it interprets things the way it wants to interpret things. Same thing with visual. You're going to pick up what you can easily process and filter it to what you can easily understand. And you're going to remember, what, about 30% of each?
You're going to remember a third.
Yeah, 30%.
That is the statistic.
Hey, I was pretty good at getting that,
everything that you've learned, you are going to remember a third of it.
Now, when you do it and your muscles do it and your body does it and you contort yourself in the way, whether it's learning a new technology, whether it's dancing, whether it's learning a new sport, when you do it and your muscles have to do it, your body has muscle memory. Yeah. If you do it,
recall that for years.
Riding a bike.
I was just going to say the same thing.
Riding a bike. For 8 years, high school and college, I threw shot put and discus. If my joints would allow me to today, I could still do it. It will not go as far, but I could still do it.
And the good thing about the program is there is a lot of auditory teaching. There's a lot of visual teaching. We do it both in the dance spot and in the workshops.
But then you implement it.
Then you implement it. That's the biggest thing, is that when we do our traditional leadership development or even the amazing, I will say, team building programs that have come out recently about, whether it be zip lining or something, right? Like those are good moments, but you're not going to learn leadership development because, again, it's you. You are zip lining, right?
And it's very fleeting. It's not a full day immersion.
Correct. I mean, you're going to be immersive. You do it with your team all day, but I don't currently, and this is why I think Dance of Leaders is a one of a kind, I don't currently know any organization that their team building programs are built on the neurological components that make you grow. Creating synapses, creating the right endorphins, creating the right environment so that retention and applicability is much easier to recall.
Absolutely. Well, you have shared an incredible amount of information and an exciting new program. Anything else that you would like to invite our listeners to or share with them regarding Dancing Leaders or anything else you're involved with?
Sure. So please feel free to visit c4talent.com. As Michelle had mentioned, We offer coaching, we offer human resources support for our entrepreneurs out here who have now hired their first employee, or maybe they're getting up to that 10 or 20 mark. There are some things that you probably don't know, and maybe HR is a desire and it's a cool thing to learn, but maintaining that and staying on top of that might take you away from your magic, whatever your magic is that you're offering to your clients. So we partner really well with small businesses. I just was talking to our client, 13 people, tech company, fantastic culture, really helping them get back in line, because you don't want to have the risk. The thing that costs you so much sometimes is the unknown risk of what your employees will do.
Right.
So we offer those. I do have coaching. I've coached lots of executives, lots of entrepreneurs. I myself have had my business since 2000. So I kind of made a lot of mistakes along the way, and I'm totally happy to help you not make the same mistakes. But take a look at C4 Talent. And then if you are interested in things like fractional executives, because you're a small company and you can't afford a big C-suite, Michelle is a fractional sales executive. I am a fractional HR executive, but I have a podcast called The Fractional Edge,
Yes.
and you can see interviews with all different kinds of fractionals: marketing, product, success, IT, everything. So you can kind of understand, oh, I don't have to hire a full-time person, and I don't have to hire a consultant. I can hire somebody who's invested in my business's success. I'm not just a project. That person's going to care long-term about my company's success with their expertise. It's something you should see. It's a whole new movement.
So links to all of that and the resources, the bountiful resources that Carol and her business offers, will be on the podcast notes, the resources, and also on LinkedIn. So please do check that out. Check out Dancing Leaders. I think you'll be amazed and impressed at just how impactful that will be. Carol, always a pleasure to speak with you. I think we do it, at least once or twice a week.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Michelle. I really had fun.
Absolutely. I will speak with you again soon. And Go Go Grow audience, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you found just a huge amount of value here. Please share the podcast and, of course, all of Carol's resources as well with another entrepreneur or small business owner who can help grow their business. And please also give us feedback. Let us know how we can be of more service to you, because that's what we're here for. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Go Go Grow.